Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi guys. Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena is only 3 days away, and this is my absolute final predictions. After seeing the media day interviews, after seeing all of the hype, after thinking about the fight over and over again, like my perception on the fight and how it's gonna end up has definitely changed a lot since the fight was initially announced. Right, initially when I saw the fight being booked in November, I was like, alright, Islam's gonna submit him easy, yada yada yada. Like it's gonna be just another night for Islam. Like obviously, like at the time I thought. But now, while realizing the grasp of the situation, like while realizing how, like while reliving how good JDM was against Bilal Muhammad, while taking it in, like how amazing JDM is as a champion and why he has proven that he's the best welterweight walking on planet Earth right now, until fighting of course. Now I feel like this is gonna be a very 50-50 match. Like honestly, the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this fight for the first time was alright, grappler versus striker, that's it. But now, while realizing the fact that JDM is not only a striker but his grappling is also amazing. His takedown defense phenomenal. Belal could not get him in the ground, and yes, no, I think he did, like at the end of the fifth round. But still, JDM managed to get up very easily. Like he did not struggle with Belal on the ground. So, like when you consider that, I think it's gonna be very difficult for Islam to get JDM down. Though I feel like, like I'm pretty sure we all know that Islam's level of grappling is way above Belal, and like we also, like to counter that, JDM has also prepared very well for this fight, and he's also been training with Alexander Volkanovski, who technically beat Islam Makhachev in their first fight, right? And also with Craig Jones, an amazing coach. And I'm just, like honestly, I can't wait until Saturday night or Sunday morning for me at least, because this fight is like, bro, like the thing is, if Islam wins this fight, he will tie with Anderson Silva for the most wins in UFC history, like for the most consecutive wins in UFC history. Now, obviously, Anderson Silva's 61 win streak is way more impressive than Islam's, because he had 4 title defenses and most of them were knockouts, right? And Islam only has like 4 compared to that. But though with this winning, he will have 6 title fights, which is still a lot. But like when people talk about Islam's legacy being as good as Anderson's, I really like. To me, that's really stupid, because as I mentioned, Anderson Silva, obviously their win streak will be same, but Anderson Silva had 11 title fights. No, yeah, 11 title fights in his 16 fight win streak. Islam, only if he wins this, he will only have 6. And another thing I must warn you is, do not think for 1 second that this is gonna be an easy night for Islam. Trust me on that, because bro, is JDM an absolute nightmare. Like stylistically, Islam is probably the best counter for JDM, because Islam has very sharp hands and also amazing grappling. But still, if Islam cannot get JDM on the ground from round 1 or 2, it's gonna be very difficult for Islam to keep up with him in the stand up. We've seen how easily JDM took care of Bilal Muhammad. Like when it came to like JDM landing his his high knees, and his sharp counter punches. Like we obviously saw that fight. We know how good JDM is, but we don't know how good Islam is at the welterweight division. You know what? I honestly believe Islam will perform better in this division compared to lightweight, but that's only when it comes to the the power of Islam, because obviously we know that previously Islam had to cut a lot of weight to get into lightweight. Like he's not a national lightweight, not at this point. Maybe when he like started his career he was, but at this point, hell no. Another thing is, right, you have to think about it. JDM already proved, like honestly, I believe right now JDM is more solidified than Islam when it comes to this fight. Yes, Islam beat guys like Renato Moicano, Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, Alexander Volkanovski twice, but that all of those were at lightweights, and Volk is technically a featherweight. So like Islam's not really used to fighting guys who is much bigger than. We saw in the face off, like in the first face off, like how big Jack looks in front of Islam. And I'll be honest, like I believe that will give Islam some problems for sure. So my final prediction is Islam Makhachev by submission. in the third or fourth round. The reason why I say the third or fourth round is because if JDM can survive until, as I said, the third or fourth round with Islam, I believe it's like JDM can definitely like win the decision, because we obviously know how good JDM's cardio is, like in his 5 round fights, against Bilal. From round 1 to round 5, he did not look stressed at all. Like his cardio was so good, and like as I said, when even in the 5th round when Bilal got him down, JDM knew that he won the round, so he knew that he did not have to get up, but he still did. Like that shows you like the dedication of JDM, and like the shit that JDM has been saying in his recent interviews, that the only problem Islam has is he's moving up during the wrong period of time, and like that's one of the coldest quotes I've ever heard from JDM. So honestly, really excited to see what happens in this fight, and obviously like as I said, JDM, if he can manage to get to the decision, then I feel like it will be very difficult for Islam to win against Jack Della Maddalena in a 5 round war. So unless, as I said, obviously like Islam magically looks as good as he was in lightweight, and even better somehow. So more than anything we have to understand like the gravity of the situation. Like this is an Islam Makhachev going up against a random welterweight. Like honestly, I'm telling you this right now, if Islam went up to a welterweight to fight Leon Edwards, to fight Belal Muhammad, even Kamar Usman, yeah, I'm gonna say even Kamar Usman, he would have had a very very easy job. But against someone as good as Jack Della Maddalena, who isn't just good, he's good everywhere. And he's not just good, he's amazing everywhere, Jack Della Maddalena. Like this guy is as perfect a striker, plus a well-rounded striker as you can get. Like I believe he's one of the best strikers in the UFC right now, and like he's honestly I feel like he's a very underrated guy, and like I'll be honest, before the Belal fight I had no idea who he was. Like as you may know, I don't really watch fights where I only watch the fights with the name values. For example, in UFC 302 we have fights like Roman Kopylov versus Gregory Rodriguez, and even Bonical fighting on the undercard, right? I will watch those fights because those have name value. Like those guys are definitely future stars. I mean, like some consider Bonical to be a star already, though I think he's a horrible fighter. He's a very overrated fighter. But still, so in that case, as I said, Islam Makhachev is obviously a huge favorite going to this fight, and I honestly think like it makes sense why Islam is a huge favorite, because most people, they like most people don't really know the fact that JDM can put Islam out cold. I mean, like we've already seen Islam get knocked out against Adrian Martins. He did get knocked out, bro. Like I know that was like 10 years ago or something, but he was unconscious laying on the ground. Like that did happen to Islam Makhachev, right? We have seen that, and if JDM can replicate that, then we gotta give him his class. Anyways, that's what's happening, guys. You guys should know what you guys think. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.